that yeast was alive. You have to feed it or else it will die. It's genuinely alive, but it's gonna die in the oven anyway, right? So why would you feed it if it's just gonna die? How do you know when it's time to cook it? How do you know when it's lived long enough that it's time for it to be cooked? What? You take a piece off and cook it and then feed it? You are feeding it to itself in order for it to keep growing. What? So it's like sourdough is literally cannibalism. You are cannibalizing your sourdough and it just eats itself. It's like an Ouroboros. Oh my God. No wonder I love sourdough bread. I connect with it on a deeper level. And it's cannibalism. I want to make my own sourdough bread. Name it Fred? I feel like the name would be more like Berta. That's giving Berta or like an Ingrid. Yeah, Ingrid does sound sour, huh? Ingrid the sourdough. And you know why? Because she doesn't wash her she, and also she eats her diet consists of lasagna and pizza and lots of garlic bread. So her juices are literally could I make sourdough bread using VV yeast? Oh my God. Oh my God, chat. This is our project. We're gonna do it on stream. I'm gonna use my own sample and we're gonna make VV sourdough bread. And then I'm gonna eat it. And then I'll tell you all how my VV sourdough bread tastes. That sounds exciting, right? Why are you rolling your eyes? Sour indeed? Well, that's the point. You sound insane. Well, is that a problem? Fine, we won't use the VV meat? The VV meat? Who wants to make? Oh my God. Live on stream, I'm going to chop my VV lips and I'm going to make a sandwich. Who wants to watch me eat my lips on stream? We're gonna chop it up. We're gonna put it in my sandwich. Roast beef, baby. Roast beef sandwich. With the sourdough bread that I made from my yeast. Sourdough bread made from VV yeast with the roast beef lips inside of it. Maybe mayo using breast milk or something that I don't have. Some ketchup. Yeah, we could add some ketchup to it. Oh my God. Hell no, I'm out. Well, I guess you just don't have taste. I'm like a lizard, right? I feel like if you your lips, you should be able to grow it back, right? Is it like a lizard? What if two cheese take its place like a hydra? Oh my. Oh, that would mean you could be double penetrated with ease. You don't have to worry about one in the stink and one in the pink at that point. You can just do one in both pinks. And then maybe if you cut it off again, it will create a third one. What if you just become a biblically accurate vagina and you are just like 10,000 VVs down there? There are women with... What if the woman with a double VV got with the man with a double PP? And, oh my God, that's like 2 puzzle pieces going together. That's a match made in heaven, obviously. Could you get... Oh, wow, Andreas, now that is a question. Could you get double the pregnant if you have 2 different sets of eggs in each VV? Could you get double the pregnant? You know, like when you crack an egg and there's 2 yolks inside? No, that'd be like twins, right? The other day I cracked an egg and there were 2 yolks inside. I wish I was ESL so I didn't understand. Well, I'm ESL and I understand. So it wouldn't help you. At 9 months, no, you'd have 2 bellies. Like you'd have 2 bellies. That's crazy. Oh, but she only has 1 uterus. Imagine having to give birth twice. Getting double pregnant with... Or octuplets. Imagine giving birth to 16 babies. Dude. At that point, I would just kill myself, honestly. Hangers never looked so good.
A few bubbles are now beginning to form.
Ooh,
These
it's
bubbles are
the
the
bubbles.
result of the CO2 gases that the microbes are releasing as they consume the properties of the flower.
They're eating.
You'll notice it has a gassy poofiness to it
Ooh,
now,
the
as well
gassy
as a stretchiness
poofiness.
as it clings to the side of the jar.
Holy shit.
And it's poofy and very stretchy.
No way. It's poofy. Ew.
Remove half of the mix.
Oh my god, how your girl looks when I'm done with her. When I pump my big load of men into your tiny little...
Take a lot of antibiotics and then you can start the self-yeasting process.
I don't think my yeast... Wait, where does yeast come from? How do we know that the yeast that we buy is not actually provided by women? Where is this yeast coming from? Do we know? It's just in the air? It's a fungus? I'm so confused. For now, I want to see the bubbles. Oh my god.
Now ready to make bread.
She's ready. Well, what happens if you decide that you want to not cook it yet? What if you're attached to your yeast? What happens if you keep it alive? What will happen? Could you have like a 10-year-old sourdough bread? What does it turn into? You just have to feed... What does it turn into? What? It develops... Oh my god, imagine. Are there seriously 10-year-old yeast batches? No way. Centuries old... Well, now I want to taste a 100-year-old sourdough bread. But that must be expensive, right? I feel like that's probably quite expensive, like wine. The eternal yeast. The yeast that never dies. Oh my god. What if you eat it and then you get sick because you get some kind of fungal infection? Because, I mean, it must be growing mold, right? The yeast is the mold? You're telling me yeast is mold? Isn't it like a powder? What? It's a fucking fungus. But I thought it was a powder. I thought whenever you're putting yeast inside of your thing, it's like a powder. It's powdered mold. The powder is dehydrated yeast. So when you are putting dehydrated yeast into water, it comes back to life? Reincarnated yeast! So how do we know? How do we know that yeast isn't Jesus? How do we know that the Bible wasn't just built off of someone's crazy imagination of yeast instead? I mean, the yeast came back after however many days of being dead? Or Jesus did? Sounds like a yeast to me, guys. It sounds like yeast. So we've been worshipping yeast all our lives. Wait a damn minute. If you cremate somebody, and then could you make sourdough bread? Okay, anyway. You make Hey, babe. This is sourdough bread made out of my grandma. A family recipe. All right, so if you put imagine if you cremate somebody and then you add water and then they come back to life like yeast. Wait, has anyone ever tried? How do we know that someone who is cremated isn't going to come back to life if you just add water? Has anyone done this before? We need someone willing to sacrifice some ashes for this science experiment. It's my hypothesis, okay? I'm going to the science fair. I had an idea.
My grandfather's ashes were laid to rest in the ocean. He didn't come back.
Well, how do you know he didn't come back? Did you stay there for 7 days to see if he came back? It took her 7 days to make a yeast dough, a sourdough. It takes some people 100 years. Maybe he did come back. You just left him out there to drown at that point. He probably reincarnated in the middle of the ocean, and then the shark ate him. He became a merman. No. Holy shit, chat. I just had the best idea I have probably ever had in my life. What if you start a business? Here's a business idea. Okay, you've got the factory, all right? You've got the VV yeast and the PP cheese. Holy, and the breast milk. You never have to go to the grocery store ever again. Ever again. You can make your own milk. You've got a whole ass. Forget f***ing Subway. Just make your own. Infinite. Oh my. No. Dude, is the flour dandruff? No, the flour is the ashes. No! I'll tell you what the flour is. The flour is whenever you go to the shower and you like exfoliate your feet with like the cheese grater. You take that skin and you collect it, and then you put it in the powderizer. What is it called? The powderizer? You know, whenever you like put things in the powderizer, what is it called? It just turns it into powder. Yeah, the blender. So you put it all in there and you turn it into powder, and then suddenly you have your flour. Put bread. Oh, can you also get yeast from your feet too? Imagine you've got a fungus yeast growing on your feet, and then you cheese grate it, and suddenly you have flour with yeast inside. I'm not imagining that. Well, your loss, I guess. You will never be able to become. This is why you will never be able to capitalize in today's market. You can join my course for a low fee of 1 subscription to this channel, and you will be able to find all my tips and secrets. How to become your own entrepreneur and make your own bread factory.
Chat, I've been wondering this for a while now.
There
Why
we
the hell
go.
are we letting her cook?